She laughed when she heard I was dating again. "Aw, look at you," she said over the phone, voice laced with fake sweetness. "Didn't think you had it in you." I didn't respond. Not at first. Because if I did, I'd scream. Or worse, I'd beg her again. And I swore I'd never beg her again. But she wouldn't stop. "You were always so soft, always so desperate. I bet she's another charity case, huh?" That did it. I stepped outside onto the balcony, phone still pressed to my ear. Cold wind rushed against my face. The city lights below blurred through the tears I refused to let fall. I had moved on. At least, that's what I told myself. Until she called. Until that voice dug up everything I buried. And that's when I whispered, without thinking, "Willow, just come home." There was silence. Then her voice, stunned and sharp. "Who's Willow?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because for the first time in a long time, I had the upper hand. She didn't know. She didn't know I wasn't the same man she walked out on. She didn't know someone had stitched the broken pieces of me back together. And she definitely didn't know the name Willow had meaning. Deep, real, undeniable meaning. Because Willow wasn't just anyone. She was the reason I could breathe again. She didn't scream at me when I forgot dinner. She didn't mock me when I cried. She didn't leave me in the rain, drunk, alone, and shaking. No. Willow looked at my scars and didn't flinch. But hearing my ex's voice again, it almost pulled me back. Back into the hell I'd finally escaped. And yet, she couldn't stand the silence on the line. "Hello?" she snapped. "Who is Willow?" I smiled. "Doesn't matter," I said. "You're the one who left." She scoffed. "So now you're some mystery man with a new girl? Cute. Let's see how long it lasts before she sees through you two." I was about to hang up, but then she said it, "I miss you, you know." My chest tightened. For a second, just a second, I forgot everything. Every betrayal. Every lie. Until I looked over at the photo on the table. Me and Willow. Laughing. At peace. I steadied my breath and whispered into the phone, "Too late." Then I ended the call. Because sometimes, what haunts you desperately wants to come back. But not everything lost deserves to be found. My name's Keon. And for a long time, I thought love was supposed to hurt a little. I met Ava when I was 23. She was magnetic like fire wrapped in silk. The kind of girl everyone noticed when she walked in. And somehow, she chose me. Back then, I didn't have much. Just a part-time job fixing phones and a tiny one-room apartment that smelled like burnt coffee and ambition. But Ava didn't care. Or at least, that's what she said. She used to run her fingers through my hair and whisper, "You've got this storm in you, Kean."
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Run her fingers through my hair and whisper, "You've got this storm in you, Kean. I like it." I mistook that for love. We dated for 3 years before moving in together. Those first few months felt like a dream: late-night drives, bad pizza, and her dancing barefoot in the kitchen like we were the only two people left in the world. But slowly, the warmth faded. Ava was ambitious. And I respected that. She wanted more success, more attention, more everything. She started staying out late. Swapping our quiet nights for parties I wasn't invited to. She told me I was too safe. "You're a good guy, Kean," she said once, her tone almost apologetic. But good guys don't set the world on fire. I didn't understand what that meant, not then. I tried harder. Got a better job. Bought her gifts I couldn't afford. Even proposed, thinking maybe a ring would make her stay. She didn't say no. But she didn't say yes either. Instead, she started pulling away in ways that didn't leave bruises but left scars. She'd forget birthdays. Laugh at my insecurities. Compare me to guys with shinier lives and flashier smiles. Still, I stayed. Because when you've built your identity around someone else's love, leaving feels like dying. Then, one morning, she was just gone. No note. No message. Just a cleared-out closet and a voicemail that started with, "Don't hate me." I didn't hate her. I hated myself for letting it get that far. For thinking that if I loved her hard enough, she'd come around. The months after were quiet. Too quiet. I stopped going out, stopped trusting, became the guy who smiled politely at people but felt absolutely nothing. Until I met Willow. It was at a bookstore, of all places. I was holding a worn-out copy of a novel I used to love as a kid. She tapped my shoulder and said, "That book breaks you in all the right places." I laughed for the first time in weeks. Willow was nothing like Ava. She didn't try to fix me. She just saw me. We started talking, slowly, carefully, like two people who'd bled before and didn't want to make a mess this time. She taught art to kids and smelled like paint and lavender. Her eyes carried their own sadness, but her smile was steady. She never asked about Ava, but one night she held my hand and said, "You don't have to shrink for me." That was the night I realized love isn't supposed to hurt. It's supposed to heal. Willow became my peace in a world that once felt like constant war. And just when I thought I was finally safe, Ava called. It started with a text. Of course it did. Willow and I were curled up on the couch. Rain tapped gently against the windows, and the smell of her lavender tea filled the room. I was reading. She was sketching. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. The message read, "Miss me?" My stomach dropped. I didn't reply. Seconds later, another one followed. Still wearing that sad little face? Or has she wiped it clean yet? I sat up straight. Willow noticed. "Everything okay?" she asked, tilting her head, her pencil frozen mid-shade. I forced a smile. Spam. Probably just another scam message. But it wasn't spam. It was Ava, and somehow she still knew how to find my weak spots. I blocked the number. Told myself it meant nothing, that it was just her playing games again. But inside, I knew. Ava never did anything without a reason. A few days passed. Then, one evening, I stepped out of a work meeting and found her waiting by my car. Ava. Same confident posture, same smart, but something about her looked tired. Thinner. Eyes heavier. I froze. She smiled like we were old friends, like we hadn't torn each other apart. "Relax," she said, brushing her hair back. "I'm not here to cause drama. Just wanted to say hi." I didn't move. Didn't breathe. "How'd you find me?" I finally asked. She shrugged. "It's not hard. You're not exactly hiding." I wanted to leave. To get in my car and drive away without another word. But curiosity is a disease. Why now? She hesitated, just for a second. "I made a mistake, Kian," she said, voice suddenly softer. "I shouldn't have left the way I did." Voice suddenly softer. "I shouldn't have left the way I did." I left short, bitter. "You didn't just leave. You disappeared." "I know." Her eyes shimmered, and I've regretted it ever since. That's when she stepped closer and placed a hand on my chest like she used to. "Are you seeing someone?" I stepped back instantly. "Yes, I am." And maybe I said it too fast. Maybe a part of me needed her to know that someone else had picked up the mess she made and called it art. She blinked. Then she smirked. "Willow, right?" she said, like the name had a bad taste in her mouth. Cute, new agey. Sounds like a yoga instructor. I clenched my jaw. "You don't get to comment on her." She tilted her head. "Relax. I'm just saying rebound girls come with expiration dates." I got in the car, slammed the door shut, drove off without another word. But her voice echoed in my mind the entire ride home. That night, I couldn't sleep. Willow lay beside me, breathing soft and even, her fingers loosely curled around mine. But I couldn't stop thinking about Ava. Not because I missed her, but because I knew her too well. And if she was back, it wasn't for closure. It was for chaos. Days passed. The peace didn't return. Ava's voice lingered in the corners of my mind like smoke that wouldn't clear. Willow could sense it. She didn't say anything, But I saw it in the way her eyes scanned mine a second longer than usual. How she started holding me tighter at night, as if bracing for something, and I hated it. I hated that Ava still had power over me, even now. One evening, Willow and I were brushing our teeth in front of the mirror, side by side. She smiled at me, foam around her lips, and I couldn't help but stare. "What?" She laughed. I forced a smile. "Nothing. You're just pretty even with toothpaste on your face." She leaned over, kissed my cheek, then went to bed. But I stood there alone after she left, gripping the edge of the sink like it was the only thing holding me together. What if Ava didn't leave? What if she kept showing up? Could I really pretend it wouldn't affect me? I thought I was over her. Truly. But something about her reappearance wasn't about longing. It was about fear. Because Ava didn't come back to apologize. She came back to destroy. The next morning, I found the small envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. No stamp. No name. Just my name, written in her handwriting, one I couldn't mistake if I went blind. Inside was a single photo. Willow and I, walking out of a coffee shop, her hand in mine. On the back, written in smudged ink, "She doesn't know you like I do." I froze. Was she following us? I wanted to scream. To march over to wherever Ava was hiding and demand she stop. That she leave us alone. But instead, I tucked the envelope deep into my coat pocket and drove off in silence. That night, I barely touched dinner. Willow made pasta my favorite. She even lit candles. I watched her laugh at a joke she made herself, completely unaware of the war in my chest. "You've been quiet lately," she finally said. "Work stress?" I nodded. "Yeah, just work." Lie. She reached across the table, laced her fingers through mine. "Whatever it is, you don't have to carry it alone." And just like that, guilt clawed at my throat. She deserved the truth. But what was the truth? That my ex had returned? Uninvited? That she was leaving threats disguised as nostalgia? That I was scared not because I still loved her, but because I knew what she was capable of? Would that even make sense? That night, I stared at Willow as she slept, her face soft, lips parted just slightly, trust painted across every inch of her. She believed in me. She believed I'd moved on. I wanted to believe it too. But the next day, it got worse. Another text. "You always liked simple girls. Too bad they break easy." I threw my phone across the room. I couldn't take it anymore. I sat in my car, gripping the wheel, heart pounding, every part of me torn between two instincts: confront her, or protect Willow. Because confronting Ava meant giving her what she wanted: my attention, my reaction, proof that she still mattered. But doing nothing? That felt like betrayal too. I couldn't tell Willow without dragging her into this toxic history. She didn't deserve that. She deserved soft mornings, not shadowed memories. So I drove, not to Ava. To the only person who knew what I went through with Ryan, my oldest friend. The one who saw the worst of it all. He looked up as I walked into his garage, wiping his hands on a rag. "Damn, man. You look like you haven't slept in days." "I haven't." I sat down heavily. "She's back." His face darkened. "Ava?" I nodded. "She's texting me. Leaving notes. Following us, I think." He cursed under his breath. "Does Willow know?" I shook my head. How do I even start that conversation? Ryan stared at me for a long time, then said something that hit harder than anything Ava ever could. "You're not scared of Ava. You're scared Willow will see the version of you that let Ava in." I didn't respond. Because he was right. I thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. A few days after my talk with Ryan, Willow called me while I was at work. Her voice was shaking. "Keon, did you send someone to follow me?" My blood turned cold. "What? No, why? What happened?" She paused. "A woman, she came into the flower shop today. Said she was a friend of yours, Ava." I stood up from my chair so fast it nearly toppled over. She came to your work? Yeah. She asked weird questions. Said she was your past that never got closure. Then she laughed like it was some inside joke. I could barely breathe. Did she touch you? Threaten you? No. But the way she looked at me. Kian like I was temporary. I was already grabbing my coat. I'm coming to you right now. I drove like a madman. When I reached the shop, Willow was sitting behind the counter, trying to smile, but her eyes were still wide. Shaken, I hugged her tightly. She didn't pull away, but she whispered, "What's going on, Pian? Who is this woman really?" I pulled back. I tried to protect her. Keep her out of it. But it was too... I tried to protect her. Keep her out of it. But it was too late. She's my ex, I said quietly. We had a complicated past. Controlling. Manipulative. When she left, I didn't chase her. I should have known that would come at a cost. Willow looked down. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I didn't want her chaos to reach you. But she found you anyway. Her voice cracked. She said something else too. I braced myself. She said she knew something about me, something I didn't even know. Then she smiled and said, "You'll know when it's time." I felt like the floor beneath me split open. What was Ava playing at? Later that night, as Willow showered, I scrolled through my old emails. I had once archived everything related to Ava proof, photos, recordings, just in case. And that's when I saw it. An old video file I didn't remember saving. The date? Just 3 months ago. Long after Ava had disappeared. I clicked on it. The screen showed Ava sitting on a bed, a hotel room behind her. She looked into the camera, eyes puffy but wild. If you're watching this, Kian, it means I finally decided to let go. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I just wanted to leave one last seed in your head before I vanished. She laughed bitterly. You think you've moved on. That's cute. But people like me don't fade. We stain. She leaned in closer. Willow isn't who you think she is. My heart raced. Don't worry, I didn't hurt her. I didn't have to. But I left her a little reminder. Something you'll only notice when it matters most. The video ended. No explanation. No details. Just that cryptic message. I stared at the blank screen, hands trembling. What did she mean? What had she done? And then it hit me, what if she hadn't just come back for me? What if she came back for both of us? The next morning, Willow found something taped to the bottom of her bike seat. A tiny USB drive. She handed it to me with shaky hands. I didn't put this there. I didn't either. Whatever was on it, Ava wanted us to see. And I had no idea if I was ready for it, but I plugged it in anyway. And what played on screen made my blood run ice cold. The screen flickered, then stabilized. It was security footage, grainy, black and white, but clear enough. The footage was from inside a cafe. Ours. I recognized it instantly. The timestamp? 3 weeks ago. The day Willow said she was running errands alone. Except she wasn't. The camera panned slightly and there she was. Willow. Sitting at a booth. Across from her, Ava. I leaned in, my heart pounding like a war drum. They were talking. Calmly. No yelling. No tension. Just two women. Talking. Willow reached into her purse. Pulled something out. A letter? Ava slid her phone across the table. Then, suddenly Willow smiled. A soft, understanding smile. And they shook hands. I felt my stomach drop. The screen cut to black. Nothing else. No audio. No explanation. I turned to Willow, my voice hoarse. You met her. Her eyes widened. Kian, you met her and didn't tell me. She stepped back. I was going to? I didn't know how. How long have you known her? I don't, not really. She came to the cafe, said she wanted to talk woman to woman. I didn't want to tell you until I understood what she wanted. You smiled, Willow. Willow. My voice cracked. You shook hands. You looked like friends. She bit her lip. guilt bleeding from her expression. She told me everything about your past, how you both ended, the things she did, but she also told me about the things you did. I froze. Excuse me? Willow's voice trembled. She said you weren't always the victim, that you had secrets too, that you left her when she was at her worst, that you didn't even say goodbye. I stared at her in disbelief. You believed her? She hesitated. That hesitation was a knife. I didn't know what to believe. I just wanted to hear the truth from you. But you kept hiding things, Kian. Hiding her. Hiding how much she still mattered. Hiding her. Hiding how much she still mattered. She doesn't matter, I snapped. You matter. Everything I hid was to protect us. Tears welled in her eyes. Then why did she know things about me that I hadn't even told you yet? I blinked. What are you talking about? Willow walked to the table, opened a drawer, and pulled out a small, folded paper. This was left in my purse after our meeting. I unfolded it. It was a letter, typed. Inside, detailed information. About her childhood, her birth name, her adoption, her old address. Things she had only ever told her therapist. And me. Willow looked at me with broken eyes. I told you those things. No one else. My head spun. I didn't give her that. Then how did she get it? I suddenly felt sick. If I didn't give it to Ava, and Willow didn't, then Ava had access to us in ways we didn't understand. Ways that ran deeper. Was she still watching us? Listening? I ran to the bedroom and began tearing the place apart, checking the outlets, lamps, behind the TV. That's when I found it. A small black dot beneath the bookshelf. A recording device. I held it up in disbelief. She's been listening to us. Willow sank to the couch. Kian, what is this? And for the first time I had no answer. All I knew was, this wasn't about a broken past anymore. It was a game. And we were both pawns. We didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor, the bug in my hand, watching Willow breathe slowly beside me, her head resting against the couch, eyes distant. The silence between us felt heavier than any argument. Ava had wormed her way between us without lifting a finger. Her poison was slow, but effective, and I was done being played. By morning, I had a plan. I called the one person I hoped I'd never have to speak to again. My cousin Elijah, tech genius, hacker, paranoid as hell, but loyal. He owed me a favor. When I told him everything, his voice sharpened like a blade. She's monitoring your devices, your apartment, your life. You want me to shut her down? No, I said coldly. I want to make her watch. Over the next week, Willow and I staged the perfect performance. We pretended to fall apart. She started staying with her sister. I made sure to argue with her on the phone loudly. At one point, I even threw a wine glass at the wall for dramatic effect. It missed. Barely. All of it broadcast straight to the bug Ava planted. Let her believe she won. Let her think she'd broken us. Then Elijah worked his magic. He traced the bug's signal to a remote laptop connected through a virtual cloud hub. But not just that he found her. Ava was living under a new alias, new city, new number, but not careful enough. One night, Willow and I drove out together, hours away from home, to a rented cabin surrounded by nothing but pine trees and secrets. Elijah had hijacked her devices, sending out fake alerts from the bug. It told Ava I was alone in the woods, drunk, spiraling. The perfect moment to check in. She arrived just after sunset, wearing a long coat, that same smug smile at her lips. The one that once fooled me. Kian, she purred as she stepped inside. I was worried about you. You look broken. I smirked. You always did mistake quiet for weak. Before she could answer, Willow stepped out of the shadows behind her, holding up a phone, recording everything. Ava froze. Her expression cracked for the first time. This isn't what you think, oh. It's exactly what we think. Willow cut her off, voice calm but icy. You stalked us. You manipulated me. You bugged our home. Ava's mask dropped. Her eyes narrowed. You have no idea what he did to me. You think he's some victim? He left me what I needed him most. I stepped forward. You abused me, Ava. You controlled me, isolated me. I tried to save you, but you were drowning. You were dragging me under with you. Her hands shook. You think this is over? She hissed. You think exposing me changes anything? I leaned in. It doesn't change the past, but it ends the future. We left her there, with a warning. One more step toward us, and we'd release the footage. The recordings. Every twisted thing she said and did handed straight to law enforcement and the media. By the time we got home, Elijah had already scrubbed our devices clean. The bugs were destroyed. Our walls were safe again. For the first time in weeks, Willow and I lay in bed and actually slept. No fear. No lies. Just the two of us. Days turned to weeks. The cafe reopened. Customers returned. Laughter and life crept back in. Willow smiled more. And this time, it wasn't forced. I started writing again. Not about pain but healing. Sometimes, we still found letters slid under the door. Unmarked envelopes. No words. Just a photo. A quote. A flower. Ava's way of reminding us she was still watching. But we didn't react. She thrived on chaos, so we gave her silence. That was our final power. One morning, as we opened the shop, Willow turned to me. Do you think she'll ever really go away? I looked at the sunrise spilling over the window, the warmth on her face, the peace we'd fought to reclaim. No, I whispered. But she's not a threat anymore. She's a memory, a ghost who knocks on a locked door. Willow nodded slowly. Then she reached into her pocket and held out something small. The recording bug Ava had planted. We had kept one, just in case. Willow smiled. Let her wonder if we're still watching, too. And with that, we started a new chapter, together. Unafraid. But in the quiet quarters of our world, the shadow of Ava lingered. And some nights, when the wind howled too loud, I still wondered, what if this was only her opening act?